Hello and welcome to Football with No Limits, the home of covering the day of a football fan. I'm well aware of the problems that we had last week with Kevin Price's interview. I know a few of you got in touch with me and I really appreciate that, saying that the microphone issues weren't ideal. Hopefully today it's very different. We've had this planned for a while, that I was going to be in the Podcast Studio Glasgow. Thank you to everyone that helped get it arranged. And we are here to have a catch up on everything that's happened in Scottish football and in the leagues that I've been covering recently, just before I head off to Germany on Tuesday. Now, quick little disclaimer, we're recording this on the Thursday. Ideally, we'll get this out on Saturday before the 3 o'clock kickoffs, but there's every chance it might just be a bit after the weekend. So any predictions, they'll either age tremendously or they'll age horrifically. Let's hope it's the first one. We are joined by a guest who has been on the podcast quite a few times now, especially recently, and hopefully to the listeners, especially to myself, he's made us gain a wee soft spot for his Elgin City, and that will be one of the main topics that we're going to be covering today. Andrew, welcome back to Football with No Limits. How does this feel?
It's quite bougie, I must say. It's quite
bougie is the word.
Very different. Very different.
As soon as we came into the studio, we were thinking this is dedefinitely a step up from sitting in a wee dorm in Santiago.
Aye.
It's quite the contrast. We will come to Elgin in a bit, but as you know, I'm not long back from Amsterdam. I came back on Saturday evening. Changed at Bristol because we're students and we like to save a wee drop of money, and we had a cracking couple of days. You've been to the Netherlands before?
I have not. No, it's on the bucket list.
Yeah. Apparently I'd been when I was very, very wee, but as the listeners will know by now, and today we can say viewers, because this will be going out on YouTube as well. I'm well on my way. I'm trying to tick off seeing a game in every UEFA state. There's 55, but I think the way that the world is at the moment, I think it's 52 that are able to do. Yeah. Amsterdam was my 10th country. Netherlands was my 10th country. So well on my way, hopefully. I can tick off one more new country by the end of the year in Austria. But that all depends on my arrangements in Germany. But I went over to Amsterdam with my friends Owen and Liam to see Scotland in a friendly against the Netherlands, of course, at the Johan Cruyff Arena, miraculous stadium. Dad was very jealous, as the big Johan Cruyff fan he is. He wasn't too jealous of me going to Amsterdam. But Scotland did what Scotland have gained a reputation for. Defended very solidly. That's what Steve Clarke's teams have always done. West Brom, Kilmarnock, everything. Never known for their scoring quality, but always had very solid setups at the back. I mean, against teams like the Netherlands, number 6 in the world, they're going to be pretty tough to hold up against. And until just coming up to half time, we were doing really well. And a wonder strike from the Netherlands midfield found its way to the back of net. I still think Angus Gunn could have made a better job of it. I don't know if you've seen the highlights.
No.
What do you think?
No, definitely could have been.
Seemed a bit flat-footed. At the time, I thought, good strike. And then I was in an Irish pub after a couple of pints of the Dutch beer, and I thought, is he scared of hitting the post?
Aye.
Is he flat-footed? That's not the Angus Gunn that so many Scotland fans have seen since he started this campaign. Do you think he could have got across a bit faster?
Aye, no, he definitely could have done.
And it was a funny one because Steve Clarke made the decision to call up 4 goalkeepers.
I didn't understand that at all.
I don't think anyone could get their head around it. I mean, there was obviously the situation where Craig Gordon, who was in the Scotland squad for a while but had to drop out due to a horrible double leg break, so he was coming back, but I thought he would drop either Zander Clark or Liam Kelly for that, but no. Nope. He called all 4 up for 2 games.
Aye.
So at most you're looking at 45 minutes per goalie.
Aye,
and that didn't happen. Angus Gunn got all 180 minutes, and I thought after that goal that he conceded, I thought another goalie would have got a run.
Yeah, you think
either
so,
in the second half in
now.
Amsterdam or just in the Northern Ireland game. But that wasn't the case. We had a great 70 minutes regardless. If Shankland took his chance and put it away, I'm not blaming him. I think it was harder than people think, and the pressure that he'd been feeling in the lead up to that game as well, knowing that the form he was in for Hearts was setting up those expectations for him to play in the national team, and especially when Dykes and Adams aren't in the best of form for us. I still would take him. I don't think Adams and Dykes offer anything that Shankland doesn't. I know Dykes is someone that you can lump the ball up to, but he's not done it for us recently. The last big moment he came up with was Norway away, unless I'm forgetting one.
He's not been pulling up trees domestically either.
No. I would still take him, and he might have a role to play if he gets to 20 minutes and we're needing a goal or need to hold on, but he can't be our main man.
No doubt, absolutely not.
I'd even consider bringing up Tommy Conway at Bristol.
Right. No, he's getting good reviews.
He is. And he's playing at the same level as Adams and Dykes. Bristol City, you'll know better than me, English Championship, doing all right?
They're about mid-table.
Right, okay. Just on to other Scotland squad stuff before we move more into Scottish football domestically. It was clear how pivotal Kieran Tierney and Gilmore were when they came off. I think Ferguson and Souttar came on, who are top players, can't deny that. Souttar's been playing in the Europa League for Rangers. Ferguson's been one of Bologna's best players as they're hunting for Champions League football. They've been doing really well under Thiago Motta.
Yeah, Bologna,
yeah. But they're just not used to the mould that Steve Clarke has created in his 4 or 5 years now as Scotland manager, and I think that a lot of people slag him for his loyalty towards certain players.
Aye.
But you can see why he's been sticking to it, because they've got a system that works, and it is hard for these new players to come in. Whether it's Clarke's fault that it's harder for these players to come in, I can understand that, but this isn't a normal campaign where Scotland have nothing to be playing for. We've got a Euros coming up now, and it's a Euros with expectation. It wasn't the last Euros where we were happy to be there.
Yeah, and it's no, I just don't want this tournament to be another what if, or if we did this, if we did that. And as for the loyalty, Clark's not the only one that's taking a slag with that Southgate down in England. Yep. Like with Jordan Henderson still playing, he's getting a lot of...
Maguire as well.
Aye, well, I think he's been too as bad the last couple of years.
He's just Harry Maguire, isn't he? He just gets...
I do feel for the guy.
I do. It doesn't help when you get an 80 million price tag. That's nothing to do with it. That wasn't his choice.
No, certainly not.
But that's what comes with modern day football, and a lot of people up in Scotland as well, it's not just down in England, have often said Cam McGregor's nothing on Kenny McLean, never mind any players in the Premier League. I think they were proved wrong in this international break. We saw how much he was missed. Billy Gilmore, I think he's a cracking player, and give it 2 years or so, he'll be a perfect replacement for McGregor in that system. But very few players work in that system with McTominay and McGinn the way McGregor does, because he can function as a 6 just in front of the defence, picking the ball up and playing it really attacking, be that to McGinn on the wing or up to Shankland in a good space. But what Gilmore seems to be doing, and it's probably just how he's been taught under, say, De Zerbi or whoever it was at Norwich, or maybe even at Chelsea under Lampard.
Yeah, Lampard.
He just plays the easy pass when he gets it. He doesn't look to further up the pitch anymore.
No.
Hopefully, by the time Kamak hangs up his international boots, I can see that maybe being after the World Cup in 26. He'll be 31, 32 by then, and he'll probably do what Scott Brown did and just focus on Celtic then.
Yeah.
I can see Gilmore taking that role, but we will struggle without McGregor if it comes to it. It's looking like it won't be, as things stand. He's supposed to be back for the game at Livingston on Sunday, so it shouldn't be a worry for Scotland. And this sounds like I'm running a really pro-Celtic agenda here. I promise the listeners I'm not. But we did sorely miss Aaron Hickey due to the poor performances from Nathan Passon. I'm not wanting to come on here and give the boy a slacking, because I think a big part of it is because he's not been getting the game time he deserves at Everton.
No, he's not.
He was clearly rusty, but he didn't play well against the Netherlands. That was visible to most people, and I thought the obvious thing for Steve Clarke to do was give Ralston, the other right back in the squad, a chance to play against Northern Ireland. Seems pretty logical. If one boy's not had the best game, you've got another friendly coming up, just chuck the other boy in. He decided not to, and Patterson was at fault for the goal that Northern Ireland got in what was a woeful game. From a Scotland point of view, I'm sure it was great if you're Northern Ireland. Yeah. But really poor atmosphere. The atmosphere was disappointing, given that we're a team that are over the moon to be going to the Euros. Booing at half time when you're 1-0 down the friendly.
It's poor. It's really poor.
Really didn't sit right with me. But hopefully the Tartan Army have realised that booing in that game didn't actually do the boys any favours.
No.
I mean, these boys know that. These boys like Andy Robertson, Kieran, they know they're not doing well enough. They know they're not up to standard. They don't need 40,000 odd Scotland fans to remind them of that.
I know.
Hopefully come June when our friendlies away in Portugal against Gibraltar and home to Finland, things can change. No, hopefully it'll be a better atmosphere given that it'll be a send-off to Germany.
Yeah, definitely.
Sorry, Andrew, that was me rambling for a while.
No.
Before we move into Scottish football, I put a debate out on the podcast socials yesterday, saying that personally I enjoy international games just as much as club for very different reasons. When I go to Celtic games, or non-Celtic games, but Celtic games I'll talk about here, see it as a Rangers meet up with my dad, like yourself, when you're going to Elgin and take it very seriously, but socially I love the journeys down to Glasgow, be that from Aberdeen or travelling through from Fife with my dad, and it's a very social thing as going to football is. But with Scotland, especially in Scotland, when you've got such a divisive football community, which we have, it's not just Celtic and Rangers, you've got your stuff in Edinburgh, you've got Hibs and Hearts, you've got your Dundees and everything. It's a reason for teams, wherever you are, fans of all teams to come together and all get behind the same group of players. And I'm very aware, especially given we just played Northern Ireland, there's a lot of controversy around certain fan bases supporting different countries. But to me, if you're Scottish, whether you've grown up there or not, you support the country, and you can do that with your mates, be that if they support your rivals or if they support some team that's in a completely different league. You can all get behind the same group of boys, and you can also go on fun away days like I did to the Netherlands and just see different parts of the world.
Aye, it's massive.
Where do you stand with the loyalties between club and country, and why?
I'm far more of a club man, I guess. 'Cause I think it helps if you were brought up with it. We weren't as into the national team growing up. I think my mum kind of fell away from football when she had the kids, and obviously my dad's from Northern Ireland, so he obviously didn't grow up with the Scotland national team.
No.
But so it wasn't. I was aware of it, but I couldn't. Really until I came to uni, I couldn't have had any kind of discussion about the national team.
Yeah.
So I'm very much more of a club man. Also, I think the club runs all season. It's a regular thing for me. And yes, I'm much more of a club man. I think also I know this is something we've said before and you've disagreed with, but not having, obviously there's no Elgin players in the national team, so not having that kind of same connection. But like you said, you're still support players that play for Rangers, that play for anyone else.
I understand why you're saying that, but I think that actually presents a really good thing about international football, that say you're Liam, for example, that I was away in the Netherlands he's a big Inverness fan, and with all due respect to Inverness, they're not going to get chances to play at the Johan Cruyff Arena.
No.
Supporting Inverness, you're not going to get a chance to see Virgil van Dijk and Memphis Depay. So still, by supporting a team that you love, you get to see these great opposition players, and you can go off to Germany and support them in the Euros while still supporting your club as well.
Yes.
But everyone's raised differently, and I guess for yourself in a household that's 50-50 Scotland and Northern Ireland, I'm not talking about the controversies that came the other night between Northern Ireland. Cannot be bothered getting into that. And nothing would come of it either.
Life is too short.
But when you're split between two countries, it's hard to really get behind it. But moving on, Elgin, can I say safe?
I think we will be. Like I said during the walk-in here, I find it hard to see Stranraer, Bonnyrigg and Clyde getting as many more points than us than they need, all three of them.
Yep.
I'm holding off on saying safe because that I don't think 36 will be enough this season, and I don't have my worries about the team, but it's just after last season's collapse, I'm always going to be a bit nervous about it. But we're on 36 points a minute. I think one more win, and I think we need 1-1 from our remaining games to secure it. Just
to level the viewers up with the plan for today, we're going to run through the state that Scottish football is a harsh way to put it, how the Scottish football was looking when I came back from Spain. That was at the end of January, and I've been back for over 2 months now, so we're going to look at the contrast and how things are looking now. and we'll give our predictions for the end of the season before I give you a wee recap on how Compostela have been doing in Spain and the state of affairs where I'm going in Germany and they're running to the end of the season as well. Start with the Premiership and work our way down.
Okay.
When I came back in January, Celtic hadn't long beaten Rangers at New Year and had strung together a good few results. St Mirren, Dundee away, I think we're 6 clear, something like that, at the New Year, and obviously we'd had the winter break. Many Celtic fans were very aware that the team was far from perfect, especially given how good things felt at the end of last season. But I think we had reason to believe that we would win the league. We'd won the 2 derbies against Rangers, and typically, can't take these games for granted, and it's come back to bite us. But the games that aren't against Rangers shouldn't be that big of a worry, but they've ended up being that way.
Yeah. I mean, 2 defeats against Kilmarnock, is it not?
Yeah, one in the League Cup.
One in the Cup, 2 against Hearts. A couple other. I know you got the points in the end, but some late winners against Motherwell as well.
Yeah, and it's a home form as well. Celtic Park's obviously not a fortress for so many years that teams can very rarely take anything. Obviously, the COVID year, remember St Mirren winning for the first time in years. Ross County knocked us out the League Cup.
League Cup.
Yep. Rangers knocked us out the Cup. So there's been a lot going on, obviously behind the scenes with the board. I'm not getting into that today, but a lot of people are also claiming that Rodgers never wanted to come back, and the promises that he was dealt with this new coming back era haven't been promised. I don't know what to make of that. I don't know if we should be thinking that Rodgers is going to be off. I was saying I was going to be off. I have my doubts now.
I think Rangers losing to Motherwell's made it a bit more optimistic again. It's kind of shown they're not this invincible side that we'd kind of begun to wonder if they were.
Yeah.
So I think the landscape's changed a wee bit since that Rangers defeat.
As a neutral that you are, Celtic and Rangers have got 2 more games each other before the end of the season.
Yeah.
And Celtic are going away to Livingston on Sunday. Rangers have got Hibs at home on Saturday. If you had to put your money on it now, who's lifting that trophy?
I'm going to say Celtic, which is something that, as an opinion, I've held much this season, I have to say. And the only reason for that is there's something with Brendan Rodgers in the derbies. Yeah. He has a phenomenal record in them. Yeah. And don't get me wrong, I think Rangers could do perfect in the rest of their games and their 2 competitions they're still in, but I just don't see it with the derbies.
Fair enough.
So
I'm pleased to hear that. I'm pleased because Ibrox is a game I'm very nervous for, but it looks like we're getting our players back in time. And you're right, Rodgers has got a really good record. I mean, I know both teams were in very different states, but look at the game at Ibrox at the start of the season. Yeah. We were down to the bare bones. It was a brutal game. It was chronic, wasn't it? I mean, I loved it. It was chronic. Right, moving on to territory that you're a wee bit more familiar with, Ross County, as a Highlander that you are. When I came back, what was this? When did Derek Adams get the sack?
He resigned after 5-0 to Motherwell around the 7th or 8th of February. Right, so he was still in a job by the time I came back, end of January, and it was nailed on that them and Livingston were going to be the bottom 2. I wasn't quite sure what way around, but I was sure they would be the bottom 2. Yeah. I think that still is the case that they are the bottom 2, but I don't think it's going to end that way. No? You know?
I think Derek Adams leaving was the best thing Ross County could have ever done.
100%. Oh, no question.
I think all parties were in agreement there. Yeah. Like, I'm off ski. Did you ever do that Derek Adams simulator?
I did.
Incredible, wasn't it? Aye. Interestingly enough, I saw a post a couple of days ago saying that Derek Adams is recruiting for a coach to join him in his next managerial job. God knows where that's going to be.
I actually thought it was going to be the Accrington Stanley one. Similar situation to Morecambe, similar location, but they've appointed their interim manager in the full time, so I have no idea what his plan.
Maybe he's not got anything lined up. Maybe he just wants to be ready. Yeah. Maybe it's he knows it's a run into summer. He just wants to have a good CV to put out there. And they've got Don Cowie in, and the appointment of Don Cowie was very. I'm not saying I actually appointed him. It was how they did it, because they got him in as an interim. But then they said they weren't actively looking.
Yeah, I think that was basically the way of saying, look, he's here till the end of the season, we're pushing it down the line. it's not a pressing issue. I imagine they didn't go in. So I don't imagine it's one of these things where Cowie's actually been given an 18-month contract and they're just no saying to the end of the season. But I think they're saying he's very much in contention. Yeah. If he does a good job, and I imagine good job means keeping County in the league, he will get the full-time job.
Interesting. And I'm now of the opinion that I'm well aware Aberdeen are well in the mix, but I think it's going to be St Johnstone that come 11th.
Yeah.
There's a crunch game at Pittodrie this weekend, massive game. Aberdeen facing Ross County, and if Ross County win that, which I'm not ruling out, I think they've got quite a good crowd going.
Yeah, they sold out the national allocation.
Yeah, which is quite unusual for Ross County.
Very.
So fair play to them for doing that. If Ross County do win that, which I don't think anyone can rule out, Aberdeen are well in the battle.
I think they're level on points if County win it.
There you go. And I can't remember who St Johnstone. I've got Dundee. Sorry.
Okay.
McDermott. I can't see them winning it. I think a draw is very possible.
Yeah.
It's got 0-0 written all over it. St Johnstone would probably take a draw as well.
Aye.
I think in any game before the split, they will take a draw and then reassess things after that. That's how I can imagine things going. But St Johnstone will be keeping a very close eye on that game at Pittodrie.
Very.
How have you looked at Ross County as... I'm assuming you've got friends who are Ross County fans.
Yeah, I do.
So I'm not expecting any inside information, but you'll also be hearing a lot more about it. Are they happy with the direction that the way things are going, considering how bad it was looking at one point?
I think it's been accepted that, well, it is a lot better now, but I don't know, I've not heard much about any names about the full-time, if there's going to be any change to full-time manager. My concern with County is that if they beat Aberdeen on Saturday, that it just throws off everything I'm about to say. But they have a very poor record against Aberdeen. Aberdeen have had their number quite a few times this. In fact, back in January, they won 3-0 in Dingwall. Beat them twice in 4 days earlier this season. And for about, probably since the World Cup, I mean, don't get me wrong, they weren't lighting anything on fire before that, but since the World Cup, County have not put any run of form together at any point. And I'm not sure that's about to change, so I'm still going to put them 11th.
Okay.
I don't want them to, I really don't want them to, right. But I'm still putting County to finish 11th.
Okay. Fair enough. Aberdeen, are they home and hosed?
No, not by any means, but as great as it would be if it did happen. I think they'll probably finish 9th.
Did you went to the Championship where there's a much tighter title race than anyone expected at the start of the season? I don't think most people actually expected Raith Rovers to be in a title race. Some might have not even expected playoffs.
Aye.
But now challenging for the title and properly challenging, not 5 or 6 points behind. They are coming into a game at Tannadice on Saturday that if they win, they go even further top.
Dundee United are still top, I think, either on goal difference or by a point, but Raith absolutely go top if they win. And United's home form's pretty patchy, so I can see it.
The thing that Raith have got going for them is Dundee United fans understandably had an expectation coming into this season. It'd be a season for a reset, and they'd win the league pretty comfortably and get back and be a bit more stable.
Mm-hmm.
That's not been the case.
No, it's not.
Their football has not been up to scratch, and the fans have been... They're run out of patience.
They really are. And I just think the atmosphere is going to get pretty toxic pretty quickly. I don't think it's going to be a sellout. I don't think they're happy with Goodwin. I don't think they're happy with the board. No.
And I think Raith Rovers have got their tails up. And coming back in January, there was a title race, but I still thought Dundee United had enough to do it.
Yeah.
Now I don't. I don't know what the score's going to be on Sunday or Saturday, but I think whoever wins that wins the league.
I'm willing to back you on that.
Okay.
Because on the way down, I was actually thinking, right, who's going to win it? And I was saying, I'll back United, but this is the least certain I've been all season about it.
I'm not backing it.
I went on Saturday, and I'd find it hard, to be honest, about backing United to still win it.
If I was to put it on my ACA, gamble responsibly, I would say a Raith Rovers win or a draw.
A 2-1 Raith.
Possibly.
Was that the score back in December,
No, it
actually?
was 1-0.
Oh, 1-0.
Dylan Easton. What Wraith also have is a top keeper. Kevin Dabrowski. He kept him, and I say kept him, he won them the game against Dunfermline. And they've got a really solid defence. And Dundee United, they've got Louis Mole, they've got Tony Watt, they've got so many players that would easily fit into sides in the Premiership. But it just doesn't seem to be gelling. I don't know if it's a good problem, but that's 2 clubs on the trot now that he's failing at.
I think he got a bit of a harder time at Aberdeen than he maybe deserved. I'm not saying he shouldn't have been sacked. He absolutely should have been, but he came in at Aberdeen when their season, it wasn't done, but it clearly wasn't going anywhere. Players had checked out, so he already had there was a bit of bad faith in him going into his what would have been a full season at Aberdeen. Started quite well, just total collapse after the World Cup. Comes in at Dundee United and kind of doesn't make things worse, but he doesn't stop a sinking ship.
I didn't expect him to keep his job.
No, I was a bit surprised by that.
I couldn't believe it. I actually quite like him. Maybe it's Irish accent.
No, I like the guy.
Arguably the most handsome manager in Scottish football.
I think Rhys McCabe gives him a run for his money.
There's a shout for Stephen Robinson as well.
We've spoken about this at length.
And what was on the tongue of a lot of Scottish football fans around January time was the form that Morton were in. They were setting a record. I don't know what it got to in the end, but they definitely
12, I think.
Unbeaten.
12 or 13 unbeaten.
They got to 12 or 13 unbeaten. They put in a respectable performance against Hearts at home as well in the Cup. And they've just fallen apart. Because I was very, very, I know you were as well, very confident that they would get playoffs.
Yeah, I was certain of it. I thought they'd pull away from Thistle. I think it was the day we were at Clyde, actually. Check the halftime scores. Morton are 2 down at home to Cali, and I couldn't believe it. But since then, they've not picked up at all. Not scored at Capello. No, they haven't scored at Capello, I don't think.
Right.
They've lost 5 in a row, 4 in the league plus Hearts. And Oakley was back against Dunfermline. I actually thought he was still injured, but it's kind of worrying for them.
They weren't missing him. I'll hold my hands up. I thought Oakley was by far their top scorer. It's actually Robbie Muirhead.
Yeah.
But the talk of the town when Morton were on this run was George Oakley and how pivotal he was. And it can't be a coincidence that when he gets injured, their form falls off.
Aye, no, definitely not.
So who knows? I've heard predictions that this side is just going to keep going and they finish 9th.
No, I don't see that.
You can't see it. Go on.
Right, so I do. Next year, I'm not convinced they're stopping not so much the losing, but the winless run yet, because their next 2 games, they're at home to Queen's Park on Saturday. Queen's Park have improved hugely under Davidson. Although quite a few draws, so that's got 0-0 or 1-1 written all over it. Or 1-0 Queen's Park. Then they're away to Airdrie, who are one of the form teams in the country since the turn of the year.
Yeah.
And do you really see Morton winning either of those?
I know.
I'm not sure, but I think they've got a few other games after that. They've got Arbroath among them, who Dick Campbell really had Morton's number, but Morton have managed to win both games since he left Arbroath. I actually look at Cali for 9th. I don't see them getting out of it. They're not scoring enough goals. They've not won a home game since November. January they needed goals, and they signed quite a few defenders. Who, to be fair, we were talking to a Cali fan on the bus back from Clyde, and he really rated James
Carragher.
Yeah, Carragher. James Carragher.
You nearly said Jamie, didn't you?
I was trying to think if it was Jamie or James. I think it's James. But
It's definitely not Jamie.
No, it's definitely not. Besides,
He's past it now.
wouldn't get in my team. But yeah, with Cali not being able to win a game at home, quite good away from home, I have to say. They've got a decent record away from home.
They got a good result at Tannadice.
Yeah, there's not enough goals in the team. I'm not convinced Ferguson's got an improvement on Dodds' start. I'm not questioning that, but recently he's not got enough out of the team. I don't see Cali catching up on the others. They're only 3 points behind, and they might during the next few games jump out of 9th, but I think match day 36, Friday 3rd of May, end of the 90 minutes, they'll be 9th.
I do love that they play those games on a Friday night.
I know. It's great.
You'll know more about Cali as a Highlander that you are. Money issues.
Yes, there was.
If they go down, which is possible, I'm not saying they will or won't, even if they end up in the playoffs.
Aye, that's no certainty, actually.
And we'll talk about who they might come up against. If they go down, there's a very strong possibility that they'll have to go part-time. And from what I've understood, they put forward a motion to the council or the government.
Yeah, council, I think.
For a battery power bank.
Yeah, I think they were maybe going to sell the surplus electric.
Right.
I would need to double check that.
But it got rejected. And they're appealing it. But from what I understand, if this motion doesn't go through, they're in real bother.
Yeah, I think, Cali, I don't know if they've ever been a particularly cash-rich club, but certainly in recent years they've not. Often signing guys from non-league in England to come up, and sometimes it works. Ross Draper came from a recently relegated Macclesfield, but that was 12 years ago. This is now. And yeah, I think there's real worries because if you're in the Highlands, County, I think, can pay decent wages so they can get people up. But if Cali can't pay decent wages, who are they going to get? I'm worried about if they go down to League One. I could see them pinching Russell Dingwall from us and maybe others because they might be going part time. I think I could see it. Maybe the appeal. I don't know the reasons for the rejection of the battery farm. I could see it being accepted on appeal because obviously the government are quite. Because I know it's the council, I think, but the government are obviously big into renewable energies. They'll be able to put forward, it's a benefit X, Y, Z, and so I would guess the appeal will be successful, but who knows how far down the line that is.
One of the reasons that someone at the council rejected it was somewhere that he used to go sledging. I thought that was excellent. I'm not saying I want the demise of Cali to happen,
That's quite
but
funny.
if it's because some guy wants to go sledging once a year, that'd be one of the most Scottish football reasons for a club ever to go down. We'll move on to League One. Regarding straight promotion and straight relegation, it's pretty black and white.
Yeah, City are guaranteed down. Falkirk need Hamilton to drop points for them to get to. They could have done.
They could have. It wasn't their fault. They needed to win and they needed Hamilton to drop points.
Yes, drop points.
And I think Hamilton beat Cove in the end.
Beat Cove 3-1, aye. 2 late goals actually, so Falkirk, so the celebrations were on hold.
It was going to get, it's about to happen. It would have been the first of 2 trophies to be won at the Falkirk Stadium that weekend.
Indeed.
But Falkirk are going to do it. I think Montrose have even said that in their match programme.
Yeah, there's a statement out this morning about trying to get as many people down to the ground as possible. I guess try and drown out Falkirk a wee bit.
Fair enough, you do what you want.
Aye.
But there's quite. I remember looking at that on our way in and thinking, bit of a boring league. And then you look at mid-table and it's not boring at all.
No,
there's not one team that's not got anything to play for.
No, there's a massive divide. There's essentially 2 leagues, 3rd to 5th. You've got Alloa, Montrose, and Cove fighting out for that last for those
Hamilton.
2 playoff spots. They're going to be second. Okay. They'll be second, and then after that you've got a big drop. I think of about 9 points. 9 points down to Kelty. Kelty, Stirling, Queen of South all on a point of each other, and in 3 behind, but one of again the form teams in the country. Yeah. And the relegation scrap.
There's a lot of interest.
A lot still to play each other as well.
A lot of interesting talking points there. Firstly, the thing with the playoffs is obviously 2nd plays against 3rd and 4th plays against 2nd bottom from the Championship, who you think is going to be Cali. Where do you want to come? Would you rather play against Hamilton or would you rather play against Cali?
I would say Hamilton, because I actually think after they've definitely got 2nd wrapped up, because I know they're almost certainly going to. We'll just want it wrapped up. They're going to be wrapping their players in cotton wool for the playoffs. If you get Hamilton in those last 3-4 games of the season,
you've got a good chance of getting something.
That is your chance. So, and even if it's a good strategy to keep your players free from injury, you need momentum.
Yes.
And if they've picked up 2 points in their last 4, I know Dumbarton have been on a slide, but they didn't go into the playoffs last season in great form, and they got battered by Annan 6-0 in the first leg. I would much rather play Hamilton than Cali.
Because do you think Cali will be fighting right to the end?
Yeah,
of match day 36? You don't think it'll get to, say, 1 or 2 games before and it's all decided?
Aye, and for all... No, definitely not. And
sorry,
for all...
We've completely moved past the Championship. We both agreed our both are going down.
Yeah, definitely.
Sorry, Lucas. Sorry, Ed. You're going down.
No, I think that because the thing with Cali is they're not getting battered in games. They're so many 2-1 defeats, especially so many 2-1 home defeats, 1-goal defeats. They're not. I might be forgetting a game. I can't recall a time this season that they've got battered, lost a game more than by 2 goals. So, and especially if you're a team below, I imagine Cali will probably be in the final.
Okay.
I don't know who it'll be against. Alloa have managed wins against Hamilton this season.
I was going to bring that up. So, between 3rd and 5th, you've got Montrose, Cove, and Alloa.
Yeah. Alloa are 3rd, yeah.
Alloa are 3rd.
Montrose 4th, Cove 5th.
Montrose 4th and Cove 5th. How many points separate them?
So Alloa and Montrose are a point apart. Alloa are on 47, Montrose are on 46. Montrose with a slightly better goal difference. Cove are 3 points behind on 43. So in theory, you say, yeah, well, Cove could easily get 3rd, but they are way, way off it at the minute. You look at the last 10 games, and I know you have to be careful how you look at 10 games because, you could have a good start and then a really poor one, but it actually looks all right. But last 10 games, Alloa, 21 points. There's some really impressive wins in there. They've beaten Hamilton. Montrose, 20 points. Cove, 10. Cove don't have momentum, and there's not a good feel about Cove at the minute.
You were saying that. I mean, just on the run in, we were thinking Paul Hartley will be lucky to stay in a job. Well, so you think even if Cove make the playoffs, let's say they do and they come 4th, they'll play Cali.
Yeah.
We're saying Cali. It could be anyone that comes 9th in the championship.
Because there's no shortage of...
You don't think Cove will end up going up through the playoffs? We've seen stranger things happen.
I would be utterly stunned if Cove were in the championship next season.
Would it be similar to Edinburgh City going up?
Yeah. I cannot see it in any way that Cove get promoted. Hartley, if you're watching this, use this as some dressing room inspiration. To be fair, I think if they get top 4 and if they make a fist of the playoffs, they might just let him keep his job. If they don't make top 4, he might be Mam Cole Park, because I don't know how happy he'd be at the club, but I'm not best not speculate on that. We'll not speculate on that.
So if you were to put all your money on the line, look down the camera, who is not making the playoffs?
Cove.
That was an easy one for you there. Sad state of affairs at Edinburgh City.
Yeah. Because I know they get all this bashing for being tin pot for their ground and that, but
you are.
But it doesn't it's still somebody's club. Yeah. That's someone that goes along. Maybe it's their happiness every week.
Yeah.
And it's just not a great ground, but they're playing with a youth squad, and from what I've gathered, I know they got beat by Falkirk, but they actually made a decent fist of it.
They also drew with Falkirk.
I was a shocking penalty, by the way. Absolutely dreadful penalty decision that denied City a win. I think with the deduction, it probably, in the long run, won't really have impacted their season all that much. But I just think that these last few games, City have no pressure on them whatsoever.
Will they get a win?
I think they will. No real scientific methodology here, but I'm going last 6 games, they get a win and a draw.
Okay.
A couple of narrow defeats.
Right, okay. And you'll know more about this, because a lot of teams sadly come under financial problems in League 2 and lower leagues. What's their situation coming into League 2?
I don't know how the summer recruitment's looking. I know Michael Mikundo, is that how you say his name?
I don't know.
Michael Mikundo. Michael's staying at the club. They've confirmed that he's still...
Mick.
Yeah, they've confirmed that Mick's going to be in charge next season. I would imagine things will settle down, because remember how hysterical folk were about Partick Thistle in the summer. They've done all right out of this season. Oh, somebody telling me I was on the glue for thinking they'd finish 4th. A Thistle fan telling me I was on the glue for thinking they'd make the playoffs. Hi, cheers, mate. I imagine City will struggle next season, but to be fair, you can't predict next season when this one's not even done or it's only just done. Because if you'd asked me at the end of last season what the relegation scrap would look like, I would have said Peterhead right in among there, possibly at the bottom. Came round to the end of the summer transfer window, I said, they'll be mid-table, and obviously they've done better than I've expected.
For a while, they were contending with Steny for top spot.
They were.
Ended up not being the case.
It was just Steny's run, and Steny beating Peterhead and Oakley in November. I think that kind of changed the dynamic.
I was quite comfortable, was it not?
2-0, from what I got, Peterhead were miles off it.
Can you see Peterhead going up?
Yeah, I think there's a good chance.
And who will be in that? We've not spoken enough about the relegation battle in League One. You've got Kelty, Queen of South, Stirling, and Annan. Annan are currently in ninth, but as you said, on very good form.
Yeah.
Queen of South have been getting a lot of chat because their manager beating Marvin Bartley had that hilarious interview months ago saying that his players were spending too much time on the PlayStation. I understood the premise of it.
Aye.
I did. It was just how it came across, especially in the situation that he's in. But they're one of the very few lower league full-time clubs. And if they go to League Two, if they do stay as full-time, which would surprise me,
Surely not.
they will be the only one in League Two.
Like other than Rangers, the only ever.
Yeah. So I don't know. I can't see Kelty being dragged into it.
Yeah, it's hard because Kelty, they midweek last week ended a 5-game losing run. Beat Alloa.
Came from behind.
Very surprised to see that.
Big win.
Then they went and lost Allen on Saturday, so I can't make head or tail of Kelty, to be honest.
Maybe this is my Fife bias, but Kelty, you're staying up. You're staying out of any playoffs. I'm gonna say Stirling are going down. No, Stirling are in the playoffs. I'm not calling the playoffs. Stirling will finish ninth.
I'm willing to second that. To be honest, coming into this was the one fight I couldn't figure out. I couldn't have an answer for. Having a second look at my notes here, I have realised Stirling actually over the last 10 games are the most out of form of the 4 teams. 9 points from their last 10, and they have to play Kelty, Queen of South and Annan.
Oh, that's huge.
Which isn't helpful, and they don't have their cotton wool wrapped Hamilton game in there anywhere, while the other 3 all get to play Hamilton, although Queen of South have a rotten record against Accies. It's been 3 Accies wins this season, and their next game's Hamilton, so probably not much comfort for them.
Where is that?
It's at New Douglas Park, where they won 5-0 in December. Yeah, so
Okay.
I will join you in Stirling. I'll back Stirling for
We'll
ninth.
go into your favourite league, League Two. We've got a steady run away with it.
Aye.
Not much more to say on that.
No, really not.
They
Foot
can
off.
wrap it up this weekend.
They can. Could have wrapped it up ages ago, but the foot's been off the gas since the winning run.
Right.
I get it, to be honest.
Yeah.
They know they're winning it,
Yeah.
but just as a fan, you want to smash the record. You want to get
course.
aside, but I've been a wee bit disappointed to see them kind of take their foot off the gas.
Playoffs. Talk to me.
Right. So I honestly cannot remember the last time that the top 4 in whatever order wasn't Stenhousemuir, Peterhead, Dumbarton, and Spartans, and I think since at least November it's been Stenhousemuir top. However, Dumbarton went through a really bumpy period recently to the point where we're looking like, I don't even think they're. I'm not sure.
Result. I honestly,
could not believe
I had
it.
to go to Specsavers to see if I was seeing that right.
I was at a game that night. I was at Cove Falkirk, and you know me, I don't check my scores till half time. I could not believe what I was seeing. Could not believe. Yeah, it was 4 at half time, 5 at full. But they've a couple of good wins recently. They beat Bonnyrigg 2-0, and I know Bonnyrigg are honking, but they beat Bonnyrigg 2-0 on last Saturday. An incredible 6-2 win at Spartans the week before.
Yeah.
So I still think Dumbarton will get top 4.
I don't know why. I quite like Spartans. I don't know why. Maybe their manager comes across really well.
Aye, they've got some good press as well. I don't mean that in a bad way, but like the stuff with their ultras, the real community club, and also the new club in League 2 always I think get a fairly positive reception. Obviously Beast Kilbride aren't going to get that next year, but yeah.
No, I think they also held themselves very well against Hearts as well in the Scottish Cup, and I quite like James Cregan, ex-Dunfermline, and he's at Spartans now, and he scored that wonder goal against Hearts. And for a club to come up from the Lowland League and push the way they have, it's been really impressive. My worry is, as much as I would like, listen, I'm speaking as a Spartans fan, I know very little about them. I just want them to do it. I don't know why. If they do make playoffs and somehow go up, they would struggle in League One.
Yeah, I think also the difference with Spartans is, now somebody watching can correct me if I'm wrong here, but unlike when Kelty and Cove came up, and similar to Bonnyrigg, they didn't really have that financial backing. They didn't. I'm not saying Kelty and Cove bought promotion, but
but you are.
I wouldn't want to comment. I wouldn't want to comment on that. If I speak indeed. But they've done it very much off their own back, which I think is very admirable. My worry is that they have not been good recently. 10 games.
So even if they do make playoffs, they'll be in bad form going into
Yeah,
it.
but I don't think they're going to make them.
Okay.
I know they're still 6 clear, but the last 10 games, 2 wins, and it was against Stranraer and Bonnyrigg.
Yeah.
Stranraer, I have to say, going into added time losing, turning it around to a win, phenomenal. I think Ayrton Sonker scored both of them, actually.
Right.
But they're not in great form. They still have to play East Fife, who are the chasing pack, unbeaten under Dick Campbell. I think East Fife will nab Spartans' playoff spot. I don't know if they'll go up, but I think they'll get that last place.
So who's going to be the 3 in the playoffs?
Peterhead, Dumbarton and East Fife.
Okay. And coming on to a topic that's going to put a smile on your face.
Yeah.
Because you were very worried at one point.
Mm-hmm.
Elgin sitting... Were they ever in the bottom spot?
Yeah. There was a couple of times around the first quarter of the season. I know when we lost 6-0 to Peterhead, that put us bottom of the league.
That game was covered on the podcast. Drew came on for it, and I don't know if we said it on the podcast, but me and Sean were both in mutual agreement that it was a matter of when.
Yeah.
For going down, we hated to say it, and I'm glad we've been proved wrong.
I was just holding out hope that Clyde were worse after the Genefield game. I was thinking that's actually happening, isn't it? But then, hey, the turnaround.
It's a massive turnaround. Massive turnaround. We're saying this, you're 6 clear.
8.
Sorry.
But it's no done. That's the thing. Nobody is saying it's done.
That's what I'm trying to say, yeah. But it's looking like it's going to be a 3-way fight between Clyde, who seem to have somehow found some form.
Yeah.
Stranraer, who, bar that 5-0 against Dumbarton, are doing pretty average. And Bonnyrigg, who, honestly, I can't believe this form. Because the last game I saw of them was their last win.
Yeah.
Against yourselves at New Dundas Park. And they look like a really organised team. And any time I've seen them, be that in the playoffs or I saw them against Tennismuir last season, they just looked very compact and organised and never a team that would concede a lot of goals. But it's just been loss after loss after draw after loss. Was it, how many is it on the bounce now?
They are 8 winless, I believe, and they've lost their last 3.
And this has thrown a spanner in the works. They've sacked their manager.
They have, and to be honest, until they sacked their manager, I was probably backing them to finish bottom. Because the problem with Bonnyrigg is you can play ugly football and you can get wins. When the points stop coming, all you've got is ugly football. You can't get points in the board. The confidence was gone. They were really, really poor up at Boroughbriggs a few weeks ago. But they've appointed a new manager who, now this is just going off Pie and Bovril here off the Cowdenbeath forum, was
sponsor us, Pie and Bovril.
They were trying to play nice football, and I'm aware 6 games, you're in a relegation scrap. It's not the time to sit implementing style of plays and philosophies and the like. But
that word hurt you to say.
It really did. I really don't like the word philosophy. It's football. It's not a philosophy. It's not some deep place of thought. But anyway, I digress. I think that it will just inspire enough to get them 9th. Okay. I think Clyde will be 8th. But I think that just a change in the play. He's not going to completely overhaul everything because you can't just do that. And it's a squad that have been playing this style of football for a few years now. I know I saw them twice in their playoffs when they actually came up. They weren't pretty against Fraserburgh. And you remember, they weren't pretty against Cowdenbeath, but that game was pretty much done. They won the first one 3-0.
That was a funny game.
I think Callum Elliott, he'll want to change some things. He'll need to change some things. I just think a wee new manager bounce, a wee bit of confidence. I'm looking at these last few games. Stranraer away, I think we said in the way on, it's got a draw written all over it. But you look at some of the other games they've got
5-4 or something to Stranraer. Well, I'm saying 0-0.
0-0. Okay. I'll jump. I think there'll be goals. Not many. Not more than 1 each. They've actually, in my opinion, Bonnyrigg actually have a decent last 3 games. Home to a slipping Spartan side. Obviously, in 3 weeks' time, it could be different. Spartans could be 3 on the bounce to be a nightmare game. Away to a Stenhousemuir side who will have wrapped up the league by this point. Yeah. They can at least get a point there. Yeah. And then they're home to
away?
Then they're home to Forfar, who are going to have nothing to play for. Yeah. So those last few games could be crucial for them. I have to say, Stranraer also have Forfar and Steny in the last 2 games, but Steny have completely had Stranraer's number this season. I don't think they've got any change out of Forfar yet this season. 1 and 2 draws for Forfar. And then they're at home to Dumbarton. Good chance Dumbarton still have something to play for. So they've actually not got... Stranraer don't have a terrible end, but it's just their next 2 games are Bonnyrigg at home and Clyde away. That is massive. And they lose those, or they draw those. Do you see a way back from them?
Look in the camera. Who's coming bottom of League 2?
Stranraer.
And who's coming up, if anyone?
Sorry, Gav, but he's Kilbride, I think. that really hurts
And
to say.
one more. Who's winning the Highland League?
Brecon.
Good man.
Brecon.
I
I just think East Kilbride, they've got too strong a squad.
Do you mind if I just have a word with Gav quickly?
Yeah.
Right, cheers. Gav, just to let you know, I was watching the game against Bucky last night, and I was really rooting for you. Although Bucky do play in green and white, the cameras last night made them look like they were green at Morton. So that made it easier to support you as well. And I was delighted when you went ahead. I was gutted for you. But it's looking like you can still do it. You're still in pole position, and I'll be rooting for you. But come on, we can do this. Let's get you up into Football League and get those pies back where they belong.
Yeah, to be clear, I'm absolutely backing Brecon to... I want Brecon to win the Highland League. I want Brecon in League 2. I just have this fear.
Okay.
I just don't... I don't enjoy saying this.
Am I right in saying that is always the lone league home tie first?
Yes.
Why?
I have absolutely no idea. It's just the way they do it.
I thought they would alternate. Anyway.
It makes sense.
Maybe that's too much sense for the SFA.
Perhaps Lone League's a funny old business as it is.
I think that's an advantage for the Highland League team, though.
Yeah, second leg at home, definitely.
I would always prefer that for my team.
Hasn't helped Rock and Brecon, but it's...
No, it's not helped Brecon last season. But I've told that story too many times on the pod. So on the whole, Elgin confident for staying up, to say the least. Going into next season, a new manager compared to last season, or start of this season. Do you look further up the table?
We should be aiming for playoffs, in my opinion.
Okay.
Probably promotion from them. I'm not going to say title race because I think Peterhead will probably improve. I think East 500 at Campbell will be a scary thing, a force to be reckoned with. And obviously East Kilbride and their squad, their finances, they're going to be up there as well.
Yeah. And Edinburgh City?
Too early to say for them. Too early to say. I need to see what kind of window they have. If they're going with our youth squad, obviously they'll struggle. Yeah. But
okay.
So.
I briefly touched on watching that Brecon game last night away to Bucky. International football can do funny things to you. What I did want to talk about when we were talking about the international break was we finally got the 3 final teams into Euros. Got Georgia, Ukraine, and Poland. Mm-hmm. Poland beat Wales on penalties. Yeah. And that means Euro stickers are coming soon. I'm very, very excited for them to be announced. It's no longer Panini doing them.
Is it not?
It's Tops.
Oh, right, okay.
Tops, I think, have always done the cards.
Yeah.
So they've also taken on the stickers now as well. It's going to be strange to get used to. But if you fancy going bankrupt, then I recommend doing the stickers. They're great fun, and it definitely gets you in the mood for the Euros. I'm going to briefly talk about Compost. How are we for time? We're doing okay. So Compost, as I talked a lot on the podcast about when I was over there, pushing for promotion. They were in the playoffs last season. They were unlucky to lose to Tarathona. There was a last minute win against them last season that did them dirty. When I came away, they were either in the playoffs or just the place below them. It was on goal difference, very, very close. It does go to head-to-head once the two teams have played each other twice.
Okay.
But by that point, they hadn't. Since I've been away, it's been 9 or 10 weeks now. They've got 2 wins in 9 games. That was against Covadonga, great name.
Terrific.
Who are in the relegation zone, and Deportivo B, who, if they were to go up, which is looking quite possible.
If you denied promotion, would they not?
Well, no, they wouldn't, because it looks like Depor are going to win their league.
Oh, okay, good.
As it stands anyway. It's very tight up there, though. For context, Depor's A team, if you call it that. Mm-hmm. They're in the 3rd division, but it looks like they're going to go up with automatic promotion, hopefully. 4th Galicia. Do you want the good news or the bad news about Compost?
I'll take the bad, and we'll get the good to cheer me up again.
They're 5 points off relegation.
Oh.
The good news is they're 3 points off the playoffs. 5 go down.
Wait, how many teams are in?
18?
So 14, so what?
5 go down.
Yeah, 5 down. How many
1 goes up automatically.
Then the playoffs.
I think there's 4 in the playoffs, yeah. So, if they manage to turn things around, they've still got a chance of going up. But if this form continues, they're in bother. They did, well, I say they sacked manager Michel Alonso, not doing as well as the other Alonso right now.
No,
in
certainly
management.
no, certainly not.
But he resigned a couple of weeks ago, and ex-academy graduate at Compost, Anton Permuy, I don't know how you... saying this as a Spanish student. I'm assuming it's Permuy, but that sounds too French.
Permois?
Permois sounds even more French. I'm going with
enough,
Permuy. I'm going with Permuy. He's 36 years old, a very young manager. He lost his first game at the weekend away to Corujo, so I'm not holding my breath. I don't think Compost will go down.
That's one game, Joe. You can't.
I know. But when you're coming in with at this crunch time anyway,
I know.
I don't think they'll go down. But they had the potential to make the playoffs and they fell off. So it's a shame that it looks like they probably won't be. Hope I'm wrong, and I'll update you obviously if so. And we've spent a lot of this week discussing you visiting me in Germany. And hopefully when you're over, I'll be able to take you to what's called the Liqvi-Moly Stadion.
I look forward to it. Club shop visit and all.
Pardon?
Club shop visit
Club
and
shop
all.
visit will be very necessary. And you'll be seeing a title race. Eichstätt are top on goal difference by 2 goals.
Okay.
Only top goes up. Second plays second bottom from the league above.
Okay.
So they are 2 goals ahead of Hankofen. And this is in the Bayernliga Nord, and then both teams are 4 points clear of Eltersdorf. Top goes up and second goes into a playoff. Now Eichstätt were green and white hoops
Okay.
with a red, white and blue sponsor.
Unorthodox.
You know that photo of that guy in a queue in Glasgow with laptops? It gives those vibes. But given that the sponsor looks like it's saying liquidation, I think a lot of Celtic fans would really laugh that up. So it'll be a good laugh when that happens. And I'm just looking forward to seeing a title race, hopefully good vibes. I was doing the maths, it looks like I'm going to catch 5 games
Okay.
when I go over. And at the right end of the season, looking like I might even see a trophy display or something like that. It'll be great. But depending on when you're over, it could even be when you're there.
Aye.
What's good is they play at 6:30 on a Friday night. So that opens up a weekend to get to. Looks like I'm going to get to Nuremberg, Greuther Fürth, Unterhaching, hopefully 1860 Munich. Tickets for Bayern Munich are very hard to come by.
I can imagine.
I don't think I'm going to manage to get there. I was very late applying. But on the whole, it'll be good. If I can work it in, I'm going to try and get to Austria Salzburg game. I'm not thinking I'm going to see RB, but if I can, do you know the story with RB and Austria Salzburg? So Red Bull. Yeah. So this is the Phoenix club that are now in the 3rd division, but I think they sometimes get higher crowds than.
The fans formed it to kind of like not quite an AFC Wimbledon deal because I don't think they really moved the club so much, but same idea. So if I can manage to get across for that, I will, because that'd be one more step towards the 52, 55 countries, whatever way you look at it, and that'd be number 11. 12 worldwide, 11 in Europe. We do need to finish up. Have you got anything more you need to say before we finish up? No, just thanks for having me on. And Gavin, it did genuinely hurt saying that about Brecon. I'd really want Brecon to go up, but
we both do.
I'm just scarred from last season. Everyone
in the Football with No Limits community is rooting for you, Gav, and we appreciate you coming on the other week. It was a great pleasure.
Yeah, that was massive.
Great pleasure to speak to you, and we'll be looking out for you from a distance. You might even go to the playoff.
If I can, I'll be there. If I can,
no matter what.
Aye.
I'd also like to thank Podcast Studio Glasgow for having us. It's been a real pleasure. Hopefully be back some point in the near future, perhaps after Germany. And thanks to everyone that's been listening to make this possible. Next podcast that I'm doing, I'll be doing from Germany, from my first game, and after my first game in Eichstätt, and the way things are looking, I think I'll be getting to a Nuremberg game on the Saturday as well. So hopefully I have a double match report to give you then. Be sure to follow the podcast on our socials on Twitter, FTBL No Limits, on Instagram, football.with-no-limits, and the competition for that Sterna t-shirt is finished up. So I will be announcing the winner for that before the games on Saturday. Until then, take care, and I'll speak to you all later.